And so we're just learning that information is important, behavior is important, but even more important is, again, goes back to what we started with, was what's the cause? And the cause is often this profound sense of loneliness and isolation. And so what I found, and this is all coming out of the 40 years of study that I did with a man named Swami Satchidananda, who was an ecumenical spiritual teacher. And his whole premise was that if you really take the roots of suffering back far enough, you end up in a place where there's this misperception that we are separate and only separate. Now, of course, on one level, we are separate. You know, you're you and I'm me, and then we can enjoy having this conversation. But in all spiritual practices, once you get past the rituals that people like argue and fight and kill each other over, ironically, you find these certain spiritual truths that Aldous Huxley called the perennial philosophy, altruism and compassion and love and forgiveness and so on. And what that tells you is that when you meditate, when you pray, whether it's secular or religious, when you kind of quiet down your mind and body in whatever way you do that, you experience more of not only a sense of inner peace and to realize that that's our nature, and then you're more likely to make lifestyle choices that are life-enhancing than ones that are self-destructive. But if you take it far enough, you experience this profound sense of transcendence, that on one level we're separate, as we talked about, but on another level we're part of something larger that connects us, this oneness, this, even to label it with anything is to limit what's basically an infinite, ineffable experience. And to be able to have that kind of double vision, to me, is really in my limited understanding, is the essence and the deepest level of healing, my teacher liked to make puns. He'd say, we're born fine and we define ourselves, by labeling people in these definitions, or we're born with a sense of ease, that our sense of well-being and our sense of happiness and peace are not things we get from outside ourselves, but rather if we just stop to quiet down our mind and body, we can experience that we have that already. And then when we can come from that place of love and compassion and forgiveness, that it takes us out of that false choice of am I going to be selfish or unselfish? Am I going to look out for number one, or am I going to be a martyr? And you realize that the most selfish thing you can do, both for you and for everyone around you, is to be loving and compassionate, to eat a healthful diet and so on, kind of flows naturally from that sense of compassion. Because if you really see yourself and other people and not being the other and fundamentally different, then all these spiritual truths really flow organically from that. It's incredibly fulfilling to do this kind of work. Because you're empowering people with the tools and information that they can use to transform suffering into joy and pain into healing. And what can be more meaningful than that?